We are tracking new fallout tonight from the Justice Department's record $13 billion settlement with JPMorgan Chase. Now get this. The DOJ accused the bank of misleading investors in the run-up to the 2008 financial crisis. But now we are hearing that investors are not the only ones who are potentially getting paid in this deal. And wait until you hear who will be getting your money. Trace Gallagher with the Kelly File investigation. I say your money because perhaps it could have gone out to people who had been injured, but those won't be the only ones getting the dough, right, Trace?
And that's exactly right, Megan. You have to remember that JPMorgan, these other banks, took all these toxic subprime mortgages and bundled them up and sold them off to investors, right? So now that JPMorgan has admitted that it duped both borrowers and investors and agreed to pay the $13 billion settlement, here's the breakdown. $9 billion goes to pay off the feds and the states that filed the civil lawsuits. $4 billion goes to consumer relief, which means forgiving some loans altogether and modifying the loans of some low-income borrowers. So an independent monitor will now oversee how all the money is spent. But if you look in 4 years, read deeper into the plan, you'll find that the remainder, if the money is not all spent, will go to NeighborWorks of America. That's a liberal group that provides affordable housing and helps fund a network of community organizers. In fact, back in 2011 alone, NeighborWorks gave $35 billion to 115 different organizations. Critics say some of those organizations operate in the same vein as Acorn, of course, busted in the voter fraud scandal a few years ago. Now, we contacted NeighborWorks, and they said, get this, they had no idea they were going to get this extra money, potentially billions of dollars from this settlement. So we contacted the Department of Justice. They told us to contact the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And so far, HUD has not responded yet. Megan.
Wow. All right, Trace, thank you. Joining us now with more, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, so put it in plain English. What did Eric Holder's DOJ do here?
Eric Holder's DOJ sued JPMorgan Chase because JPMorgan Chase bought a corrupt mortgage company called Countrywide. And Countrywide sold some of its mortgages to investors that lost money because Countrywide did not reveal the full extent of what it was selling. So JPMorgan Chase says, we give up, Attorney General Holder. How much money do you want from us? Because we have to get on with our lives. We want $13 billion. Mr. Attorney General, what are you going to do with the $13 billion? Are you going to give it to the people that Countrywide took some money from when it sold this bad paper? Oh, no. We're going to give it to the U.S. Treasury. We're going to give it to Treasury of the states. We're going to give it to some consumer lending organizations so they can make loans to low-income people. And we're going to give it to some political organizations. And JPMorgan Chase says, well, we don't care what you do with the money, just get off our backs. Megan, this is an utter perversion of justice for the federal government to extort billions of dollars from the second largest bank in the United States and give it away to the president's political friends and favorite political causes.
Because you heard Trace talking about this group, NeighborWorks America, which is going to take this money and potentially provide housing, counseling, foreclosure prevention, similar programs, that kind of thing to people. And then they say that JPMorgan is also obligated to donate foreclosed homes to certain groups and offer home loans to low and moderate income borrowers in areas hit hardest by the subprime foreclosures. So my question to you, Judge, is, are they basically, with this settlement, trying to punish JPMorgan, making it do what it did in the first place that got us into this mess?
Yes. In the first place, Countrywide Mortgage, the bank that JPMorgan bought. JPMorgan itself didn't make these loans. Jamie Dimon, the chair of JPMorgan, did not supervise these loans. A guy named Angelo Mozillo did when he was running Countrywide. But they basically want.
Yeah.
And
thanks
only
a lot,
you could
Angelo.
find
I was one of your clients.
All right. They basically want JPMorgan Chase to do through the federal government, with JPMorgan Chase is giving to the federal government in order to get it off its back, what Countrywide did 10 years ago. And it is going to spawn the same problem.
If the money got farmed out to, both sides of the aisle, I guess that'd be one thing. But it sounds like from this report, it's going to get funneled to the extent there's extra to some of the administration's pet projects. I mean, he's talking about a group that's along the same vein as Acorn, a network of left-wing community organizers. Is that a fair characterization of where this money's going?
It's a fair characterization. I'll make the characterization even stronger. It's unlawful for the federal government to give money away to political causes, whether they're left-wing or right-wing. Here they're left-wing. That is not what you pay a settlement for. And I wish that JPMorgan Chase has said to the feds, forget it, we're going to a jury. There isn't a jury in the country that will order us to give $13 billion, and some of it to causes like this.
Yeah, but that may not be true.
That's
Judge,
not what
thanks.
happened.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. All the best tonight.